Welcome back, everyone. And I'm presenting today a deck that I gotta say, this deck hates me. I have had to do this video twice now because things just didn't go quite well. And I like to present myself fairly decently, and it was being kind of nasty. And this deck, I tell you, I found it about 10 years ago. And it said to me when I walked in the store, take me home, so I did. I just find it a little bit cold. It's sort of like when you walk into a party or a room and you start to warm up to someone and have a little conversation, and you get the feeling that there is nothing coming back. They don't want to spend any time with you. You might as well be talking to the wall. And when you break up with someone and they say, it's not you, it's me. Nah, in this instance, it's not me, it's them. This deck is so hard to work with. I love the colors, and I'll walk you through it. I gotta say, a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, that I put out some selenite to keep the negativity away and down, and some smoky quartz there. I got some blue calcite to create some communication. And it's a Wednesday, and you know me, I like to work with my daily energies sometimes when I'm in the den down here. So, the oil, it's meant to, well, if I pick it up and bring it over here, you'll see, get it in focus there, that Litzia, positivity, carrot seed, grounding, cardamom for warming. Oh yeah, I could use some warmth from this deck. Cedar wood to protect, and wintergreen to freshen and clear the air. So I put some of that on my hands. I dressed a candle, but I didn't light it, didn't feel like it. So, when you think of Gemini, it's about bringing balance to a situation, and I don't feel that my working with this deck is balanced in any manner. Gemini can be about partnerships, Mercury communication. So with tarot and you do sort of adapt and you become friends. I haven't found that with this deck. We are not in agreement. We are not friends. It seems a little bit one-sided when I work with this deck. And, the Lover's card comes up for Gemini sometimes, and that's a Wednesday today. So again, it's balancing energy and equalizing the playing field. You get my drift here? So this is a deck that was put out by US Games in 2006. Ooh. And I have had it for about 10 years. I've tried 3 or 4 times to work with it. Didn't go well. It comes with this lovely plastic sheet that they used to put out years ago that everybody just casts away because it's too big and too hard to work with. It does have a couple of cover cards. And I like the colors. I think that's what drew me to this deck. So there's one of the cover cards there. And this one sort of talks about her. And I thought it was Chatriya, but I think it's Chatriya is her name. She's the deck creator. And if I look a little bit further down, you'll also see that she was using acrylic on paper and soothing watercolor tones. And further down, about Egyptian history, Japanese manga, Western art, and classical mythology. That all sort of influenced her. And it's a deck to invite you to look deep into your own soul through the windows of tarot symbolism. I'd like to look through the windows of this deck. The book, pretty good, all in English. And the tarot spread she's suggesting is the Celtic Cross. She does give you the words and the ideas that go with each of the cards and their placement. And then inside, you do get a little bit of information. I can't speak today. This deck has got me just a little bit riled. So the Ten of Pentacles, you can see it gives you a little information there. And as I say, I did a nice little reading with the cards at the end of the first video take, and I've put the names of the cards aside so I can pull them again. They weren't in view of the camera, and I thought that would be nicer. But I did have a chuckle, and let's just start. I'm going to zoom in, and I hope you get a feel for the colors. It is really nicely done on the outside borders, although I find the borders a little bit big. And this would not be a deck that I could cut the borders off in any manner and be able to use just the images. My feelings are the direction of the gaze in the cards is somewhat difficult at times. It makes it seem like they're not really interested or speaking to me. So let's just play and go through the cards and see what you think. So this is the Major Arcana. Again, that is the back. And the cards are pretty good stock. And that is the Fool. So we still get the, the imagery that we're used to seeing. The sun is a little stylized. I'm okay with that. Now, the gaze that the High Priestess is giving, that's okay to me because she's supposed to be inward and a little bit quiet as she's dealing with her thoughts and feelings. Nice, strong Emperor. I do get the sense of the Eastern quality there. I kind of like that. I found the Lovers card a little difficult. It didn't seem like they were really connected. They looked a little bored with each other, not a lot of passion. And this was quite comical up here. I could just see the angel saying, whatever. Almost a human face on that lion. I did find this card a little bit busy. Not crazy about the socks on this guy. Strong Death card. It took me a while to figure out that this was a horse. That's a good card to represent this deck. It's strong in its own way. Love the colors in the Tower card. This one seemed more like a pin-up poster. Now, I'm not opposed, like some people, to the young person on the horse, but I'd like to have seen the horse's head. And I do find some of the figures a little bit pale. And I guess the background, if it had been a little stronger in color, she might have shown up a bit better. Okay, now we're into the coins. This is one of the cards that came up in the reading after. I picked 3, and so I'm going to put him aside so I can show you the layout after. This just struck me as odd. He's chiseling away at a perfectly good wall. It's almost like he's missing his sculpture. I like the feeling of that card. This is where the coldness works for me because they're on the outs. And I did like the expression here in that we need to be patient, but inwardly we're feeling that impatience. I thought that was kind of nifty. This couple looks a little stiff. They don't seem to belong together. Our page. Again, where's the horse's head? Lovely queen. And you'll find the kings in this deck not very mature. And I'm not opposed to it, just that it's a very young type of deck. Okay, we're into our swords now. I like that one. This one I can work with. It just seems different. I get the feeling of rain pouring down there. Peaceful. And this is the bully card. Really like this card. I like the fact that her shroud here is like a snail. And there's that need to be slow and quiet as she's snuggled up to Mom as they sort of move from a difficult situation. My favorite card, I always look for him in a deck. Oh yeah, and this is a very, very dramatic Ten of Swords. And some of the decks have this sort of banner around the person who is in the world card. So it's like her world has come to a hurtful, crashful end. Good action in that one. Now the king and the queen do look at at us in this, not at each other, but at least they're looking forward. And we're into our wands. I couldn't quite figure out what this person is standing on. We usually get a castle wall, so that one was a little bit different. Good card for combat. You know, that energy, that rivalry. Our Eight of Wands. Nice that I can see his face in this. He doesn't look as hurt because he doesn't have that bandage on that some of the decks show. Our lovely Queen of Wands. And our King. They're not a bad looking couple. And we're into our cups. I really did like the colors down here and the patterns. I found the expression here kind of odd. If they're looking into their cups, their, I guess, dream state? I don't know. Good expression on this one. There's our 5. And our 6. Kind of playful. There's our 7. Really like the 8. This guy's kind of hunky. We don't have the 2 kids in the background, but that's okay. Is this not an odd card? It's like he's trying to stare down this fish. Maybe he's shaken the cup a few times and dumped it and it still won't go away. Our queen. Now that should have been knight and queen. And then we end up with our king. So I did, as I say, shuffle the cards. It wasn't appearing in the screen, so I'm going to take this away now and show you. They do rifle shuffle well. It's a little bit difficult to overhand shuffle. They're a little bit slippery. If you can hang on to them, you're okay. Not as slippery as some of them, but they do look nice on a cloth spread out with that beautiful back. So the cards that I got, and let's get it in screen this time. And we'll put down a little cloth just for some contrast here so that we can see the cards, and we'll turn this down. So I shuffled the cards with good intention that how can I work better with this deck? What seems to be the difficulty? I really want to connect with you. How do I connect with you? And the first card that popped out was the 2 of coins. Lift that up so you can see it. And I just got the feeling that I know this card is sometimes about balance. And when I read for other people, I often bring up the idea that maybe they have a few things on their plate at the time of the reading, and the cards are suggesting, could you focus on just one thing? It's hard to keep 2 things up in the air or more day after day. And I got the feeling that if I wanted to work with this deck, I might have to put some things aside, that it wanted my full attention. And that's kind of difficult. You know, we're busy people, each in our own way. But it's sort of like that person you meet at a party who wants your full attention. No, you can't have that friend over there, and you can't go over there and enjoy that. It's me, 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 me. And that might be the difficulty of this deck. It's all about itself, its power, and the hold that it wants to have. So that was quite interesting. Now the next card was the 6. On the surface it looks happy and they're sharing, but with this card it tells me that, again, this deck is not willing to share my energy with other endeavors. So this is a card of giving, yes. And it's also a card of nostalgia. So if I look back, I have tried to give to this deck a few times, and there's just nothing in return. And I know relationships aren't supposed to be necessarily that way, but there is that nice exchange that we sometimes have with people. And I don't think that this deck is willing at this time to have that exchange. We can try. I'll give it another whirl. But I'm not after a one-sided relationship. And the last card was the Five of Cups. Now, this card is, I've had this card come up for people when there's been a death and they're dealing with grief. And they need to turn around and see those two cups and move forward. So it gives me the feeling that things may not be entirely over with our relationship that we have together, that I could, maybe cut the losses and pick it up again, give it another couple tries. But it does sort of feel like the grief when you purchase a deck and you try so hard and it just won't communicate with you. So there's an emotional drain here with this deck. And I don't want it to be that way. But the fun thing was I always add the cards up and try to make it, pick a number out of the major arcana. So these are all minors. And that says something in itself. But if I take 6 and 5, I get 11. And I add 2, I get 13. Now that becomes 13, the death card in the major arcana. Being a Scorpio, the 13 death card is one of the cards of my house. And I just chuckled when I read that, because when you think of the death card, you think about something, yes, over, transformation and change. And maybe I have to change my approach. But hey, I've tried my best here. The deck is going to have to be a little bit giving and transforming its attitude towards me. I'm not sure if I want a deck that is me, me, me. I'm looking for a deck that can share. So I'm willing to give it 2 more times here, maybe 2 more chances. It has caused me grief, but maybe we can do a little exchange here again. But it's got to be more balanced. I'm not willing to just devote my time and energy to one thing. That's not me. So I thought you might get a kick out of that reading, and I guess I'm putting it out there for people to tag on and share and show me a deck that you think hates you. No matter what you do, or a deck that doesn't hate you, maybe you just can't connect. That can be an interesting one for all of us to share. I know it's been done before, but heck, let's give it a whirl again. Show me the decks you just can't connect with and the feeling that you get from them. Why? Why does my tarot deck hate me? And it could be an oracle deck. Let's not be too set in our ways here. I have some oracle decks too, and some of those are difficult to connect with. So let's hear it, people. Let's be truthful. Let's share those decks that we invested in and they're just not given back. Craigie Brooks saying, have a fun day.